Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Technology Show, where our experts translate geek into regular speak. How do you feel about mixed reality versus virtual reality? And what are your thoughts? Gadgets or games? And where exactly are you on the battlefield of Windows versus Apple? Stay tuned for our special geek guests. And now, it's over to our Techsperts.
Yo, 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 it's that time of the week. It's the Techknowledgy Show where we translate geek
into regular speak.
And A is back this week.
Man, it's been a long time.
Not really. It was only a week. I mean, it's like...
No, for me, I haven't been on for 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, because I was away. No, you were away. You were away.
You were away, then I was away.
And then we postponed. Okay, so it's been a while.
Yeah,
so nearly every week. A is back this week. You have to talk about the weather because you've been an exotic, and me, there's been sun and heat.
I don't know. It was cold when I left, then it got up to 30, and then I was in Indonesia and it was humid and 30. Then I went to Queensland and it was 30 and beautiful, and then I got back here and it was
40, I think, last week in the west.
I had 40 in the west. Yeah, it was 37
mad.
downtown. It was crazy. Today I expected it to be a bit cooler, and
yeah, expectations aren't
the weather show. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I have to talk about the weather because I rode my Hunter yesterday. Big shout out to Luke and the boys there, and the Groms. I met some crazy people. Groms United from the west. It's the wild, wild west. That's all I'm going to say. But I had my gloves on and I was wearing a lightweight jacket because it was hot, and I'd folded up the cuffs so that I could see my watch. And I now have burnt on my other side where there isn't a watch. I've got like this little red line. I mean, you can't see it, but I can actually feel it. So guys, it's sunblock time. From the weather into app of the week.
App of the week.
This is not a new app in any way, shape or form. In fact, it's been around for a hell of a long time. But I think with all the focus on animojis and memojis and all the other things, I dug out Bitmoji, which is one of the original emoji type apps that you can create your own caricature of yourself, your own emoji. And the reason I've made it app of the week is I sent it to you. I sent you one of my little Bitmojis, and you were like, "Oh, that's cool. Where do I get that from?" So I sent you the link, and next minute, bang, yours comes back. It's like, "Oh yeah, I had that." So I mean, it's not a new app.
No.
But it's an easy app, and the UI and the UX behind it, which is what I always look for. And if you listen to last week's show, we had an expert on UI and UX. It's an easy app to use. It's easy to set up. It's actually good fun. And now with Halloween last week, there was such cool Dracula and ghoul type things. I was sending them all over the place. So yeah, Bitmoji, if you want to have some, and it's also what's nice about it is iOS and Android, which means that if you don't have the emoticon packs on your device, if you don't have the new iPhone Awesome XS and the Samsung Copying 9, you can now make your own emojis or memojis.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part.
Is to make it.
Not making it. I think the most annoying thing is that we can't, like, if you don't have a Note 9 or a Samsung S9 and above, well, there isn't above yet, you can't download Memoji, which is the Apple equivalent. And so, you go and search, and there's a whole bunch of kind of crappy apps that do something kind of like that video.
And serve ads.
And emoji, and serve ads. And I downloaded one to try to send... I was actually trying to get my dad to have a character so he could tell his jokes with some crazy character, and just total crap. Yeah. So this is one of the few that, while it's not animated, you can create your Animoji, and the range of what you can do with it, from hairstyles to clothing to hats and everything, quite extensive.
It's quite good. I mean, even the shaving, like for the guys, you can have clean shaven, or you can have that 10 o'clock shadow. I'm just looking. Aryeh showing me his. He's got that dirty, just haven't shaved look. You can put a cap on. You can put glasses on. I just find it a fun little app. And I think at this time of the year, when we're going into the festive season, and people are going to start sending messages around and all these good things, send a Bitmoji. So that would be a wrap of the week.
Wrap of the app.
Wrap of the app.
Wrap of the app.
Boom.
Nice.
Okie dokie. Because you're back, Aryeh, it's going to be tech news with a Z and not a Z.
Not a Z.
I just want to go straight into fanboy mode, so I'm going to let you start because it's going to quickly become the Apple show with me.
Sure. So, have you ever heard of real-time animation?
Real-time animation. Yeah.
So real-time animation is, for those of you who don't know, is the application of automation, a bit of machine learning and AI to animation of, whatever it is you're going to be animated. CGI can be the basic 2D cartoons like Rick and Morty, but it's applying pre-programmed body movement, scene animation, etc. to static activity. And so what it can do is reduce the cost of, let's say, for example, $2 million per second or per minute of avatar footage to down to something like $600 a second, which still sounds expensive, but it's, however, actually quite a game changer. And the reason for that is that the movie studios have monopolized the control of producing content and forced the approvals and everything to go through studios. Now, single people, very small studios, pop-ups, startups can do this kind of work and produce content from 2D animation all the way through to real-life volumetric video capture content like Humans. And so it's kind of a quiet disruptor, but the film industry may change dramatically in the next 5-10 years because
if you look at the influence from games, I mean, that
Absolutely.
Red Dead Redemption 2,
yeah.
I had no desire to play games until I saw the trailer for that.
Now, I've heard that kind of sucks, though.
I don't know, but it just...
It looks absolutely...
Did you see that clip that Jeff sent through?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it even goes down into a political level.
Yeah, it's incredible, no doubt.
It was quite amazing.
Yeah.
When the family goes away in December, I think, and the Xbox is left unattended, I just might be tempted to start shooting people. I'm actually not going to get into the fanboy mode yet. I'm going to give one sucker punch to Samsung because I always do enjoy doing that. But there's a small little company that no one knew about until now called Royals, as in Royole. And they have just released the first foldable smartphone, which Samsung's been touting what they were going to do. And they were close, and they were close, and they were close. Well, guess what? You lost.
But I'm pretty sure Xiaomi or Huawei had a foldable phone last year. Earlier this year.
Did they launch it commercially?
Yeah.
Not a concept.
No, commercially.
Okay, because I didn't see that.
It was crap, but it was...
Well, this one looks pretty decent.
Mm.
There's a video. So it's called the... I think it's called the Pad something. Fat Pad or Pad Fat or Fold Fat or I don't know. But basically, the company is like Royal, but with an O. Royole. There's a little video on it. And when you fold it, you can actually run two different screens at the same time as well. So you can have your diary and that on the side and content on that side. When you pop it back open, it's now 7.9 inches.
How thick is it?
It's chunky.
Yeah.
And I think the bottom line is it's almost a beta. You're going to be getting a early starter kit type phone. You're not going to replace your phone with it. But for any tech head that wants to play, it looks pretty, 6 gigs of RAM, I think, and 256 gigs memory.
Yep.
But it's just that these small little companies are now getting the ability to do this stuff, which is cool. You were just talking about small companies now doing animation. Here's someone that no one's heard of that everyone's going to now know about. You know what I mean? It's just, that's what's happening in the world. And then talking about small companies, my gosh, IBM buying Red Hat for $34 billion. I think it's the biggest acquisition in software to date.
It's not small.
They do the build on top of cloud. That's what Red Hat does, right? They let you build layers on top of
online security.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, so Red Hat's a security company.
Okay.
Yeah, deep security.
So if that's telling you that our world isn't in big shit, that you have to buy.
Yeah, no, we are in trouble there.
Yeah.
Just last one I'll say on the phones real fast. The Nubia X has tried to get around the notch issue. And what they've done is they've got a notch on the front, but they've made the back of the phone a screen, like an entire full second screen.
So it's a dual screen, like the Yota. Remember the Russian company Yota? I think they even came up with Yota 2 and then they disappeared.
I think theirs was an e-ink screen though, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
One was e-ink and one was Android full. So these are two screens.
Two screens. Now,
which way do you put your phone down?
Yeah, and
without damaging it?
And what about the battery? Are you talking about like a 2-hour capacity? Like seriously?
Yeah, Ben was saying earlier he likes the new MacBook, but the battery sucks. Imagine like you turn your phone on, it does a little Android logo appears, it dances, and it turns off.
That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we spoke about this about 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, saying there hasn't been anything innovative in phones. We're seeing same. The notch was the last big innovation, and now everyone's doing phones with notches. And you're just saying people are trying to find ways to do notches differently.
Yep.
So the foldable's probably going to be the next frontier. I personally would like it to fold that way, like inwards, so the screens are protected. They're all going for the fold outwards.
Outward?
Yeah. So you've got all the scratchy stuff happening. I don't know.
So I'd heard the Samsung one would have an outer screen, and then when you open it up, you have the full 2 screens. Something like a 3 screen, I suppose. But
it's like those Donkey Kong games we played when we were kids. Remember those little Nintendo,
the Coleco
like
ones?
you open them up and they're 2 screens.
Those were awesome, though.
They were awesome. Seeing I do like to kick it to people. NBN, well done, guys. You're 2 years into your business and you've lost 4.78 billion of our dollars.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, well done. And we still got 2 more years of these palookas. So, yeah, maybe we can... If you guys try really hard, you can continue to screw up our internet and you can maybe get that to 10 billion losses. I challenge you. Challenge accepted. Let's see. Right, fun stuff. Apple. Come on, let me, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So, for those of you that didn't know, just before Halloween, Apple launched their hardware. They had their hardware They actually did it in New York, which was really cool. They didn't do it in the Steve Jobs Center in San Francisco. They all got on a plane. They flew over to New York, and it's the Brooklyn Music Hall or something. It just looked like a really good venue.
Yep.
And all the footage outside in New York, and it was really cool. But basically, I sat and drooled for 1 hour and 42 minutes. First of all, the new MacBook Air was announced.
It does look pretty sweet.
It's amazing. They've got rid of the whole aluminium bevel all the way around.
They kept the butterfly keyboard.
No, apparently it's keyboard 3. It
Okay.
sounds like there's an update. It's not quite as bad as the new one that everyone's moaning about on the MacBook. We'll see what will happen. So they have changed that, and we've acknowledged that that's a terrible keyboard. The clicky click click clickety click thing. They've put a Retina display in it without killing the battery. They have removed the SD card, which I suppose we knew was coming, but I use that for extra memory on my MacBook. And they've put 2 USB-Cs in. So they've made it thinner than the current MacBook, more powerful than the current MacBook, lighter than the current MacBook, with a bigger screen than the current MacBook, and a slightly smaller frame.
You said thinner, right? Because
Thinner as well. Yeah. Slightly. Not much, but if you can shave off and you know. Speaking of thinner, and on all their hardware they announced, all their devices are made from 100% recycled aluminum, as you would pronounce it, or aluminium. And they actually take the grinds from what they cut out and they resmelt it and make the other devices. 100% green. So you got to give them kudos for that. That's awesome.
Yep.
The next thing, and we're not going to turn this into the Apple show.
What about the USB-C?
Oh, that's got 2 USB-Cs.
Mm-hmm.
No, but they've had USB-C even on the MacBook Pros. That doesn't have proprietary. The Maglite has disappeared ages ago. The new MacBook and the MacBook Pros have the USB-C, not the proprietary Mag
the
thing.
Mag thing.
Yeah.
I think just from the perspective you said before, I mean, it's not Apple capitulating. It's just about.
Oh, that's on the iPad. That's different.
It is, but even in this case, to go with 2 USB-Cs, it's kind of like we're going to lead the future. We're not going to just stick in the
I think
past,
the USB-C as a protocol, as a device or interface is brilliant. The fact that it takes 2-way traffic, that's just a no-brainer. All of the companies should have moved to that a long time ago. What you're talking about, though, now where there is a capitulation, is the new iPad or the iPad Pro. It's not a new iPad, it's the new iPad Pro. They launched 2 models. They've launched like the slightly smaller than the current size and slightly smaller than the Big 12. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but the screens are bigger. The same discussion about my XS versus my Plus.
Yeah.
But the screen's bigger because it's bevel-less. Bevel-less. It's bevel-less. And then what was really clever is that you turn it on and whichever way it's facing is the right way up. Now the iPhone doesn't do that.
Nope.
So when you turn the iPhone on, you actually have to look for the little speaker and then it's the right way up. The pencil, so the new pencil is magnetic. It clips to the iPad. Now, that's great. So you can't lose your pencil. It can now run full Photoshop, not the Photoshop app. So for a designer to walk around with a tablet instead of a MacBook, he or she is now sorted. And the big thing, the capitulation, is the USB-C port instead of the proprietary Lightning port. Now, Apple is giving up a lot of money by doing that. They get, I think, 15 cents on every single cable and device that's made for that MFI certification. That's probably millions of dollars that they're giving up, but they've done it for the simple reason, which you've just said now, is that getting to that uniform mode. But because of Photoshop, and this is how they motivate it, is that you can now plug your camera in, you can now plug your hard drives in. So all the things that designers need to work with huge files are there. You're laughing because you're gonna give them one of the ribs. Oh, come on,
just listen.
Round one.
No, I'm not. I'm obviously an Apple expert, but just listening to those who are, people of the Vergecast, how the USB is actually going to function and handle external devices is still questionable, particularly hard drives.
You'd have to build apps for that.
Yeah, so there's a Files app. If you're using the Photos app, which is right now the go-to file browser for anything you plug into it, it's just poor.
Remember though, from 11, they already started preparing for this. We have files on the iPhone and the iPad, and we have cloud interface on it. So you probably find they'll use those protocols. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have one.
Not being a user, I've heard people sort of
it'll be interesting.
Wait to see. Yeah,
it'll be interesting because it's basically them bringing down their garden wall, right? There's a bigger discussion here. You don't need iTunes if you're plugging directly into the device, and if you don't use iTunes, they don't own you. So that was that, and the new Mac Mini was announced, which was also overhauled up to 2 terabytes of hard drive. It can go up to 32 gigs of RAM. It's stackable, so you can build server farms with it. It comes out in in fact, it's the same color space gray as your MacBook there. Really nice device. And they announced something else.
In the Apple stores, they are actually beginning offering classes, which is not new, but Microsoft's been doing that for a while. Yeah, so you can actually, if you either, I think you can pay for it, if you have a certain level of computer, you can get it free.
Talking about Microsoft, I had a dirty weekend. I cheated. I crossed the line. I spent 4 hours in the Microsoft store on Saturday. I'm very embarrassed about it.
4 hours?
4 hours in the Microsoft store in Pittsburgh.
Correct. Yeah, so Cade
went to play in the Fortnite tournament. So, but I was there. I mean, I did go home and have a shower afterwards. I washed that Microsoft right off me. But I actually have to give them kudos. The guys at Pitt Street Mall, they ran an amazing event. You had hundreds of Fortnite mad kiddies running around, just like screaming and pulling and grabbing and eating and dying and shooting and stuff. And the staff were calm, cool, collected. They managed the heats pretty well. There were a couple of glitches.
Did you see our friend Ray?
No, she wasn't there. Milky Pixel.
Milky Pixel, yeah.
No, I looked for her. She wasn't there. But I'm one to compliment when I need to, and I have to compliment. They did a really good job. The kids had a great... At the end of the day, that's what it's about. The kids had a great time. None of the kids left there crying. None of the kids left there going, oh, no, it's not fair. They even gave them the choice to play on PC or Xbox. So they integrated the games. So that you could play. In fact, the one kid that Cade played with rocked up with his own controller. He comes with his little bag. He puts his bag down. I thought it was like a sniper, man. It's like he's got his briefcase. He opens up. Out comes his controller. Plugs it in and straight into the settings. And he's moving his settings. And it was like serious. Guys came dressed up. It was a good morning. And kudos to Microsoft Pitt Street. So yeah, I think I covered and got my Apple tech news out. What you got?
Couple pieces. The first one is a couple of Dutch guys who have launched, I think it's in Kickstarter, the fastest growing, most successful smart wallet called Exter, EXSTER. Accidentally stumbled upon building the most advanced solar panel in the world. And so... Okay,
can you clarify the smart wallet? Is it another card that carries cards, or is it actually...
It's a wallet. It's a wallet protecting your
RFID,
RFID kind of a thing. But what they wanted was a wallet that would be able to charge itself, so not having the USB in. And so what they wanted was...
Why would you charge your wallet? I'm
It's because
confused still.
there's electricity layer around it, extra protection around.
Oh, for the RF.
secure,
Okay.
yeah, to secure your
You sit
stuff.
down and you get a really good feeling in your butt. Zzz.
But what they did, speaking of butts, what they did
Butt.
was they wanted to be able to have the solar charger to be able to charge without direct sunlight hitting it. So they're able to actually collect ambient solar rays through your pants.
I've always said when I stand up, the sun shines. But now that really...
But it's the smallest, and like it doesn't require direct sunlight. So like this technology is now being licensed by all kinds of companies everywhere, and so it's this interesting.
That actually is incredibly interesting. My brain's going, because they're obviously taking the principle of what sunlight is and turning that into energy, which we obviously have all around us, or our clothes are holding the energy from the sun, and then they're drawing it. That's actually very cool. That's worth following. I mean, I carry that funny chunky thing with the aluminum covers to stop any skimming on my wallet, but it doesn't plug in. I've looked at wallets that will charge your phone, so they carry a little small battery pack in, nothing major, like maybe 2,000 milliamps, thin little battery. So if you need to make an emergency call, it's got a little built-in USB out, and you can plug your cable in. And
Yeah.
But it's heavy and clunky, and if you forget to charge your wallet, you're carrying a heavy wallet for nothing. You know what I mean? So these guys sound quite interesting. We'll definitely tag it on the show.
Yep.
What else you got?
So this, I always like to sort of be abreast of the happenings in augmented reality.
Are we going to do that on XR?
Actually,
we're going to do that
Sorry, AI.
on AI.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is AI. The first AI portrait painting to be sold at at an auction. So the first AI generated portrait smashes the estimate, selling at an auction for $612,000.
So a machine painted the painting.
Yeah, an AI. So someone sat in front of it and it painted.
So it used
someone.
a webcam, or not a webcam, would have been an HD cam, looked at the subject, and then painted it.
Yeah.
That's, well...
600. I mean, it's the first. I can't see. I mean, any.
I was going to say maybe because it's the first.
Yeah.
But also, is it the first? Like,
it's the first
people
to sell at an
it?
auction.
When you go, and you know why I'm going like meh, and not because of the story, because I'm really not taking the story, but when I take Cade to these like kiddie arcades, okay, it's a bit older now, but like when he was younger, they have those machines that cartoon you. You put in like $2 and it draws you, and you can even choose, do you want like an impressionist, or do you want a caricature, or do you want life, or you know what I mean? And that's a camera. It's not the best looking portrait in the world, but you can see it's the subject. It's not like they've drawn someone else. So
it's more because it's sold at an auction.
Yeah,
That's the thing. There have been AI portraits done.
Ben, you want to say something? We'll introduce you later, but say it, man.
So my thinking around AI portraits is who makes the income? Is it the AI? Is it the guy that set it up?
That's a great question.
Who is the actual
Does the
artist?
machine get money that it can
that's
use?
right.
Like,
And does he receive it in cryptocurrency or cold cash? I mean, that's a whole other question.
That's a fit. We need to get a drink session, man. Because that's the kind of topic that you go into. If the machine does the work, it's like those Boston Robotics machines when they open the door and they jump and they do like the parkour and that. Do they get rewarded for that? Maybe they get a free oil change. They get a lube job. I don't know. I just that's a great question. Okay, so I'm always worried about abuse of our smart, what do you call them, smart assistants, because the things that I've called Siri, I should probably go to jail for. Now you're talking about machines doing the work and earning money. Let's start the union now, Ben.
They need a robotic or
You
AI
need a
bill of
robotic-
rights or something.
Yeah.
It's all gonna.
It's going to come. It's definitely going to come.
Recommendation to the world: just be nice to your
robots.
assistants. Just every single word that you're saying is being recorded by somebody, whether it's Amazon, Google, or some private bespoke platform. And the power and the availability of maybe Siri has some issues with your voice right now.
I still hate
with
it.
your accent. However, looking back on today or 5 years ago or whenever they started recording your voice, to go back and analyze and the time it would take.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, she even tells me that's not very nice when I say the things to her. So she's using the intelligence. She's clearly listening to what I'm abusing her.
Yeah. So
I can just see it now in the dystopian future. You know, when you got into the black skies and that sun that we're all dying from, and people in their VR masks. And I walk into shop and it goes, "Oh, it's the Siri hater. We don't serve Siri haters here." And so weird because I love Apple, but I just can't stand Siri. Okay, so AI portrait 600,000. Aryeh, I'm going to say it's because it was the first, man. That's the only reason.
That's it.
And more importantly, who was it a portrait of? So now you're buying a portrait of someone. You don't even know who that person is. You paid 600 grand for it. What do you do?
Can I ask, does it look any good? I mean, can you get it up? And have
Yeah.
Is it actually great art, or is it just the...
It's also true. And is it art? Like, is it with oil painting? Or is it like... So it had a robotic arm that was doing it, or was it just a machine that sputtered?
I mean, it's a portrait.
It's not terrible.
Let's have a look.
It's good. It's a good, and it's like, but the thing is like the app Prisma, which we've reviewed before, right?
Does the same shit.
Same thing. The difference is that that's based off of a photo. This is like a completely raw image. Now it could take a photo of the person and modify it, but I think this is more applying like a whole bunch of like raw algorithms to.
If I had $100 to invest, I'm going to invest in the wallet that powers itself off my ass than I am off a machine that paints portraits. Sure. That's just going to be my call on it. It is cool. I mean, because it is AR. And the fact that they're getting that level. If you send me the link, I'll put that in when I put the story up. I don't think it's going to be a career for machines. We will see them sitting on the side of the road saying, still in good working condition, just don't paint it anymore, kind of thing, stuff.
And the only hot news, I'll throw in the last one, hot off the presses, Michael Jordan invests in Epic Games.
Oh, really?
There you go.
But is he not too late? I mean, they've made so much money. So he's coming in.
Does he need money?
That's also
like,
true.
Did actually. I stutter? Like, seriously?
But now, they were showing that. They were showing that on the Apple thing, the basketball. How they render these faces. You see the sweat. You see it. It was incredible for a game that's coming up. I think it... What do they call the basketball? It's in NBA
2K.
Yeah.
My issue with all of these games is still with the avatars. We've spoken about this before. They still look like empty souls.
Yeah.
You got to add a soul. You got to add some kind of emotional response. Like, people get angry. It's not just like this,
No, you're 100% right. But rewind 3 years ago and compare that to now and how it's advanced. And then let's sit here again in 3 years' time. They're going to have it taped, man.
Sure.
It's getting so good.
Sure. And you record so match the deep fakes capability plus the auto dubbing of the voice of the face, right? Plus volumetric capture like that Scott does with Humans mentioned before. Like that all together erases, but if it's CGI, raw CGI, it's still raw. It's still something missing, yeah.
But it's coming. I mean, like, I look at, as I said, I was looking at that Red Dead Redemption. And it was a real gameplay that I was looking at, not like how they do the promotional trailers. And the guy looked real.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have been a cowboy. The hat's down and he's got the beard, and he could have been an actor. I can't name them all, but he could have been an actor from a Western, one of the Louis L'Amour models. Or Westworld. In Westworld, how those androids really look real? I mean, they've got it right. But... Let's wrap tech news with a Z.
It's time for XR. It's not the X-rated section, nor is it the extreme relevance.
What did Angela call it? She called it X-rated.
She got X-rated.
Yeah, she had the X-rated one. So extreme reality. You missed the announcement. You missed the announcement last week about that guy from Hyper Reality leaving Leap Motion. I can't pronounce his name without reading it, but that dude. So I think I tagged up the Hyper Reality vid again. I love that clip. What you got? VR, AR, XR?
So this is the coolest news. You ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm sitting.
So the unbelievable She-Ra, which is of the He-Man stories. Her new virtual reality website offers a glimpse into the show's majestic world of She-Ra Land or whatever.
I'm feeling really bad at the moment that I have no idea who She-Ra is.
He-Man.
He-Man. You know He-Man.
I know He-Man.
Yeah, He-Man. So
She-Ra the cat.
She-Ra the cat.
Yeah.
The other one, yeah.
Castle Grayskull.
Yeah.
Dun-dun-dun,
So
dun-dun.
He-Man
So is that
had-
coming back?
So they come in. They're making a new movie, and they're doing a virtual
Okay, so
reality world. You
that
can
will
run
be
around
cool.
in there. And for the
'Cause-
kids. So.
Yeah, but what was the evil dude? Skeletor.
Yep.
Hey? Wow. Flashback 80s, man. That's cool. Okay, I know Shira, I'm like...
I have the power.
Come on, you got to do it, man.
I have the power. Dude, I can do the whole song, man. I won't, but I could.
Please don't. So they're doing that in VR. So you immerse into like Grayskull.
Yeah. Well, so she had the one with like I think it was like a pinkish cat. I can't remember the name.
Like a purpley, it was like a
pinkish one,
jaguar type thing. So it's her world.
It's her world, yeah.
So they're making her the hero now. So what happens to He-Man? Is he like looking after the kids?
Isolated.
I think He-Man's been kind of out of the picture for a bit.
Shame, man. That is cool. I don't have anything as exciting as that except for VR for caregiving. Now Penny will dig this. Penny Pen, her whole thing is about looking after the aged, and that she's been working on voice with Avra and Radmus and that. A new project from Embodied Labs wants to put the folks in the caregiving space a taste of what end-of-life scenarios they will encounter in the field. So actually immersing them through VR to show them what it actually is like when your eyesight becomes dim, when your hearing becomes soft, so that they may be more empathetic when they go to the older people and they go, "Dude, you didn't do this," and they actually go, "Hold on a second, because you can't." That's the reason they're in aged care.
Similar to the dementia one that was done here in
Yep.
Australia.
Yeah. But that's why these are good stories. These are good uses of VR. There's not just some marketing idiot going, "Oh, let's make a VR experience and immerse people." The best way of learning is to be empathetic to other people's needs. When you can actually walk in another man's shoes, as they say. So these guys are doing it. I mean, they've built it. So by the end of your experience, your eyesight becomes them. So you actually degrade through the experience.
Yep.
And you actually see what it's like to live as an older person. So I thought that was mentionable. Well done to them.
So there's a bit of VR, but I think it's definitely applicable to XR and MR. Speaking of which, I did see a really good kind of definition of the range of what is across the XR range, and sort of how you said, the AR, MR, VR, and how they told it. I still disagree with MR. I think MR is AR,
I'm with you on that.
Anyway, some new gloves have been worked and developed that are lightweight, that allow for gesture and touch. And, sort of thinking about like the Oculus Rift, more so the Quest coming up and anything that has inside-out tracking, and then Magic Leap, being able to see your hands and gesture. The problem is you can't touch things, right?
That's right.
So what this is it uses flexible metal that, instead of having those big kind of exoskeleton things over your hands, it has flexible metal that goes over your joints, and it adds a voltage to it, so that when you're trying to touch something, it will strengthen it, so you can't bend your fingers.
That's quite cool.
It mimics the feeling of feeling something
limitation
hard or soft. Yeah. And so it's because it's using voltage, it can actually be very finite.
And you can charge it off your wallet.
You could charge off your wallet.
But you over the years, you've found a lot of things with haptic and specifically gloves. We haven't seen them come to market though, really.
Not yet.
Which is like concerning. Like there's been so many people that have played in this space. I'm not talking about the exoskeleton, because that's limited. The studios will use stuff like that. But we can really get good headsets now as consumers, and that's the biggest thing that people talk about, is that they can't feel or see their hands in a VR environment. And every 2-3 weeks, you find another one of these haptic type companies.
Yeah,
we don't see them. It's weird. Why aren't they getting funded? Why is Red Hat getting $34 billion, and companies that are going to actually help us go in to change things in the world don't?
We haven't. I think the world was expecting a huge boom. Two things happened. One was VR came out. Everyone said, "Oh my God, it's incredible!" And then they tried it, and they were like, "That was neat." And what's next? And then, most recently, Magic Leap, sort of, a $5 billion dud. Not to say that it's not going to be awesome.
I know, but it is a dud at the moment.
You can't ask people to suspend their disbelief that much when you're looking at, like, a Band-Aid size strip of AR
Yeah.
in front of you. And the HoloLens, same thing. I mean, it's a little bit bigger in Magic Leap, but that leap really does need to be magic.
It's a big leap of faith.
You're asking a lot of people to jump in. We can see the potential, but hardware, we're getting there. But the reality is, who's still head-mounted displays? They're just too big, too heavy, too clunky. Oculus has the comfort side kind of almost nailed, but still, you're never going to go out in public.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, Google Glass was a big enough distraction, right? Like wearing a head-mounted display or like
to see
HoloLens.
people walking into walls. Dum, dum,
Yeah, it's
dum.
like the Segway.
Yeah.
Like great idea, but just
Yeah, they
too
forgot
early.
the fact that there's actually people out there as well. Dum, 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 dum. I'm going to move across to AR, and I'm also conscious of time, and I want to get Ben properly introduced, seeing we've heard some voice in a bit. I have to go back to the Apple show. It's something I didn't mention, but with the new iPad, or iPad Pro, they announced Project Arrow. So Project Arrow, so you've got, they did such a great demo. They had a lady, she'd already done the design. There was this design of like flowers and stuff. She put the butterflies in, like she drew a couple of butterflies, and then she animated it and augmented it. So she had this big block in the middle of the stage where you could see through the iPad what she was seeing, and the butterflies were flying around. But most importantly, she could record it. So she could design, create and project the AR content and capture it at the same time so that you could then share it. So, you're going from creating to capturing. It's just moving us. That's what this Project Arrow is all about.
Yep.
It's just moving us to one step closer. Like, how we had this whole YouTube boom where everyone's now a film producer and making six figures. Now people can actually go into augmented reality where they can design, animate, augment, and share without multiple devices. So I thought that was mentionable.
Speaking of Apple, this is not this week or last week, but I think a few weeks ago, Apple bought a Danish company called Spectral, Spektral, which is for AR and erases backgrounds from videos. So it's like green screening without having to have a green screen.
That's cool.
Very cool. And thinking about, almost every camera, not even the best ones, but pretty much every phone has at least 2 cameras for a portrait. So to be able to do that and then have an app.
And if you're using
that
the DSLR, it's obviously using the DSLR side
Yeah.
to remove background. Instead of blurring, it just removes it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think Apple's foray into the AR glasses space is a foregone conclusion, as well as cars. The Apple
they've
electric
got some,
cars.
but it looks ugly for something.
but-
Someone that designed so beautifully. The first concepts we've seen looks terrible.
Yeah.
But I have nothing else there. You got anything else?
One other small one, because you were speaking before about aged care. So there's a new MIT Media Lab VR experience, which shows disabled people what scuba diving is like. So there's a contraption where they're hanging in midair. Instead of laying on a table, there's actually like
a
suspension thing on all the major body parts. So actually it lets them feel like they're floating.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so imagine the deep or the blue.
And then they're actually swimming there.
Actually swimming there, yeah.
That's
or like
very,
floating
very
and
cool.
Stuff, so
That's cool. You see, I like that kind of use of VR, where it's actually experience generated as opposed to, as I said, another marketing brand.
Totally.
Do we wrap it there?
Wrap it there.
Deep skydiving, swimming. That would also be cool, actually. They could take and
absolutely.
put you into suspension and skydive you.
Yeah.
You get all those guys that put hooks in their bodies, those suspension. They could do it too. Just put a headset on them as well. Cool. Wrapped. Dude, we're at the top of the hour. It's quick, as always.
It is.
We have a guest. We heard Ben, he had some comment. He was the one that actually started that big thought provoker. So let's do it officially. Ben Pirrie from RunGopher, the GM, right?
Yeah, good to be here, guys.
Okay, so normally we would introduce people before they talk, but we've heard you talking. Thank you for that thought bender.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, man.
Good to be here. How are you guys going?
Yeah, we good. So I always get guests to introduce what they do themselves because you probably do a better job than I can. So RunGopher, tell us.
Sure, yeah. Look, we're a marketing automation platform in the world where there's a lot of pressure on businesses, whether it's media rate inflation or disruption or just cost of staff. So we've developed and launched a product about 2 years ago in the world of marketing automation, specifically for SMS marketing. So think of us as a little bit like a web chat bot, We're powered by artificial intelligence, and I think that's a bit of a buzzword actually, AI.
Yeah,
in the world of
they
marketing.
can paint
a bit of a
portraits now.
buzzword. Dude,
Yeah,
it's-
well,
it's-
unless you're in art or wallets, I think it's a bit of a buzzword. But for marketing tech, we really kind of weight what we're doing around natural language processing. So our system essentially can automate outbound SMS communications for all different types of businesses, but also the inbound responses from customers. It can actually scan the language and actually define responses completely automatically. So it's
That's pretty cool.
it's certainly disrupting the chatbot market in that, as I mentioned before, web chat is highly powerful, whether you've got an e-commerce site or professional services site, but it's relatively low volume in that you might have a small number of people asking questions or needing navigation to content or frequently asked questions. But with outbound chat, you can actually upload a database of 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 and actually drive huge tangible business outcomes from a simple campaign.
If I could ask, what is the most, to give an example, what is kind of the most humorous or sort of interesting or funny chatbot, SMS chatbot that you could share of what people have done?
Like an interaction?
Yeah.
Like a funny, weird one?
A funny, weird one, or as an example of, a business that might use this, what they've done and sort of what you've put in place from that natural language side of things.
Sure, I'll come to the funny one in a minute. But so look, we work with about 80 companies across Australia and New Zealand. We've got a lot of charities that look to us to kind of automate their donor journey, as we call it. So actually to automate campaigns and drive funding or fundraising or driving people to actually help and support an actual initiative, whether it's a walk or some sort of cleaning up a beach and all that sort of stuff. And then we work with professional services companies. I'm starting to work with banks and insurance companies that they want to automate customer services and actually drive people to a web landing page or fill out a form, or we do a lot of NPS survey scores as well. So we work with a bunch of research companies.
Yep.
And I think also customers now are extremely time poor. They don't want to get on the phone and call the bank or their insurance company. It's pretty boring.
You don't always
stuff.
get the resolution you want
Well,
either.
that's right. And you probably, with all due respect, might be pushed overseas to a call center somewhere. So, in a world where we are really time poor, using chat or SMS or apps is just a much more native experience for the customer in terms of getting things done.
But I think SMS in particular is a critical path, and Brett and I have spoken about it before on the show, and also just offline. People have gotten off Facebook. Chat, Snapchat comes and goes. But, the mobile number, and your mobile number in particular, is one of the few bits of data you can actually remember your own number.
Sure.
And SMS is one of those things that, you hold dearly. You change your phone, you don't change your number.
That's right.
Yeah. We were talking about AI, we were talking about the ability for natural language processing, etc. Take us through a typical journey. So I'm going to use the bank as an example. The only reason people phone their bank is A, to complain about a payment that went off that shouldn't have, or B, they need to know about a service, or it's got something to do with a transaction. Are you saying that with RunGopher you can actually automatically, by the way they type, respond, or does it need to still have a script that comes from the client? There's obviously very different understandings of machine learning and engagement. And before you answer, the reason why I say that is Aryeh and I love asking bots if they're bots. And then they tell us they're not, so we know that they're bots. Because that's the response a bot would say.
Exactly right. So look, what we're great at is the reason we use natural language processing rather than just burst outbound, one-to-many messaging is what a lot of other companies are doing, is about that two-way communication. So actually catalyzing a normal human conversation with an individual, right? We're all humans. So we generally use, we address someone by name. We typically use a persona from the business. Hi, it's Jane. How are you doing, Dave? How's your day going? And then we get them into this nice nuanced conversation. So there is predetermined campaigns that we recommend people use. It's all editable, but the natural language processing is used for that string that connects one response to another. We're also working with the likes of Salesforce, and there's a whole bunch of other kind of marketing clouds out there to integrate. So what we're using our SMS for is the center point or the anchor point to actually automate real action. Yeah. Whether it's payment gateways, or if you crash a car, you just fire up the app and start to communicate with with someone at, say, NRMA, and they can talk you through, taking a picture of the damage and all that sort of stuff. So, and there's a really interesting statistic in that in the last 3 years, in terms of social media usage, chatbots or chat apps are 2 times more frequently used than the top 4 social sites, right? So people are using one-to-one or two-way or three-way chat to actually get things done in their lives, right? What was the question was around?
It's around basically the journey. So I've had an incident recently. I went back to South Africa. I came back and there were charges on my card that shouldn't have been there.
Sure.
So I dial 1, I dial 3, I dial 7, I dial 7, I dial 3, I dial 8, and I get told I'm in the wrong department.
Mm-hmm.
I hang the phone up, I jump on Twitter and bury them. That's what happens, right? But eventually I'm going to speak to a human being. They're going to say to me, "Oh, we're sorry about that. Can we verify your ID? Can we prove that you are who you are? How do we help you?" And that's what we can do to reverse it. Are you saying that with RunGopher, I could just go send a text to my banker's NAB?
Yeah.
I could send a text because I've been given that number saying there was card fraud on my card.
Mm-hmm.
And then the journey starts from there without
Correct.
a predetermined...
Yes, so they might ask you a couple of questions. Can I have your name, or just one single point of data? And then the system would be able to infer all of the macro data and information around that customer. So the journey would start with an inbound SMS, and then it would feed through to the.
Do you have to disclose to the person that they are actually engaging with a chatbot or an environment upfront? Because
you don't have to, but it can be illicitly implicit from the communication. Like
Yeah.
if you fire up an app and we're integrated with the app, or you have a particular customer services inbound number, and again, we're talking about a non-typical use case because we are typically outbound.
Yeah.
But this is an inbound use case, which we can do.
Well, give us an example of the outbound ones then, rather.
Outbound one would be, say, we're a charity. We work with most of the major charities in Australia. And we supported said charity on a charity walk 6 months ago. And I've been a regular donor, okay? So then, a few months later, there's another campaign happening, and we would fire out an outbound communication. Hey, Brett, I'm really happy that you supported us at the charity walk a few months ago. We've got this new campaign coming up. We'd really like your support. And then we would take them through a journey. There'd be 2-way communication. And then at the point that we start to get an voluntary...
So before you carry on there, so do I get like predetermined tabs that can go, yes, I'd like to donate, or no, thank you, I'm tapped out? Or is it just an empty box and you waiting for me to reply? Is there... Because like in chatbots, there's always those predetermined buttons where they try and...
Yeah, there is certain limitations with the native function on the phone in terms of what you can deliver through SMS. Now we can deliver images through MMS. We can starting to look at maybe delivering video previews, and also web links. We do branded web links that fire out to a mobile optimized website, for example.
Okay.
But you can't load up HTML.
Okay.
Or
Inside the text.
No, not at this. We could, as a business, absolutely provision that, but unfortunately, SMS doesn't.
I think the question is in terms of response, and this is sort of around that that move. For example, Google's duplex call, right?
Yeah.
And that calling the hair salon and the restaurant to book a restaurant.
That was amazing.
Right? There was no disclosure, and people were really upset that people didn't disclose that it was a robot, and they actually programmed it so that when the bot was supposedly thinking, it went and sort of programmed that humanity into the voice. So in the bot conversation, I mean, there's certainly no laws other than GDPR, which we sort of pay attention to here.
It's not directly relevant to Australia, but I think most big companies have a particular policy or position on that, and I think that's wise.
But GDPR aside, when you send that question out saying, would you like to participate, typically on good internet chatbots, there's usually pre-programmed responses, like with 3 or 4 different questions.
Yep.
You tap the one you want to answer, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you find that, are you including that in it? And obviously the natural language understanding capability, they could write in natural language and you could understand it. Mm-hmm. Do they know that they're meant to do that in an SMS, or do you provide that prompt?
Look, again, it comes down to the use case and the business and how they want to use our technology. It's a self-service SaaS platform. But our recommendation is that you want to optimize the customer experience, like with any other kind of digital interaction. You brought the point up really interesting, that you can program humanness to our bot. So, our bot doesn't respond automatically and instantly. There is a couple of second delay that we've built into the system. So you get the kind of ... I'm thinking, I'm writing on the phone, which I think is really nice. And again, in terms of the way that we consult, the way that we suggest that our customers use our system, it's not spammy. It's not, click this link and 20% offer now, whatever. It's much more conversational. It's two-way. It's very nuanced. I'm not sure if you guys have used, systems like Infusionsoft or other platforms like that. We've got this really cool campaign builder, so you can start to build up a whole journey and integrate with email or social, or you can do time-based, trigger-based communication. So, certainly as people go through the system and start to learn it, you can build very, very nuanced, long-form, dynamic journeys, which is also really cool for customers to explore.
Just a little bit of translation. So a trigger is when someone does a specific action, such as respond or say a certain word or phrase, so that people know that's exactly what happened. Ben, what do you think is the future for the use of these sorts of? I hesitate to say it's AI, because it's pre-programmed, right? It's not like it's understanding itself. The AI part is the natural language understanding and natural language processing, agree. Right? Yeah. But where do you see us going in the next few years? Will people be willing to adopt using these, and will people be putting in their own digital assistants to have conversations with the other digital assistants so they can take a step back and get their life back?
Look, I think I'm going to come two sides here. I'll come from the brand or organization side first, and then the individual, the recipient. From an organizational side, we're obviously consulting with enterprise all the time. They don't really understand how dangerous things are for them, right? Yeah. In a world where the cost of acquiring a customer is growing every single year, the cost of media, whether you're doing Facebook or programmatic display, is getting more and more expensive from a rate perspective. Customers are now more discerning between organic and paid content more than ever. Walled gardens, exactly. And the price for entry and disruption has never been lower. So, the big brands have to adopt more and more automation. Our customers are talking about, we want a single. Everything we do is about integration, data syncing. We want all the data in one place. We want to pull our CRM with our social data, with our SMS data. We want everything in one place. We want a single customer view, because we want to reduce duplication and all that sort of stuff. So the cost of not doing some automation or full automation in enterprise is absolutely high risk. So the appetite for services like us are only going to increase, and we're going to get better in reflecting and solving organizational problems as they arise. From a customer perspective, I think we're pretty much there or getting there. I think most customers like convenience. If they can fire up a bot or an app or a chat and get more stuff done in their personal life faster, without having to talk to someone, without having to walk out of the office or put the kid down or whatever. But I think it has its place. I think it's not going to replace, maybe in some areas in gaming and so on, but it's not going to replace that human connection. It's about making our lives better, giving us more time for our kids, giving us more time for our families and friends, and empowering us. What are they saying that the 60s, by the year 2000, we'd all be working 3-hour days because of the rate of technological advance. But that hasn't happened because we're much more efficient with less time, and I think it's time to repivot that and take time back
Sweden's
as humans.
Trying that. They're getting down to the 6-hour day. We're getting towards the end of it. The one question I have to ask, I'm assuming it's an obvious one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you have the ability to capture and log all those conversations so that there can be actual human learnings from it, so the people at the companies can look at how these conversations went and pivot and do what they need to do?
That's correct. So anyone listening can log in and create their own free account and have a play. It's self-service. It's super easy to use. Absolutely, if you upload one contact or 100,000, it tracks all of those interactions two-way and any clicks out to a website, any kind of other conversions. And what we're doing with our more sophisticated clients is we're integrating with their marketing cloud, so they're getting our data in their systems,
and then they can do with it as they want.
Exactly, they can launch SMS campaigns in tandem with their ECRM campaigns and have the data in one single view.
Nice.
So that's kind of what we're working.
And this was developed locally, right?
Yeah, our founder is an Australian. His background is trading platforms, so he's worked for a number of major banks building trading platforms. Okay. This was a side project that's just taken off, and
that's fantastic.
Very
I love
happy
those
to be
stories.
Involved and grow the company.
No, that sounds awesome.
Fun along the way.
Yeah. Look, we do have to wrap it up. Where do we find you? RunGopher.com. So not .com.au.
No.
RunGopher.com. Are you on Twitter? Are you on LinkedIn?
Yeah,
Are you
pretty prolific LinkedIn sharer. So check out my LinkedIn page, LinkedIn/Benjamin Pirrie, or our RunGopher LinkedIn page.
All right, cool. Well, you'll send those through to me. I'll take them up in the show as well.
I will throw out another just point note. Probably going to see Ben back on the show at some point in the future. He's been very quiet and shy, but Ben's involved with all kinds of ad tech, martech craziness out there, as well as some other non-work, non-digital interests that are quite interesting. So
Doors always open, man.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Yeah, happy to come back.
Come
That'd be
chat.
great.
Yeah.
Sounds
fun.
good.
Cool.
Well, I think that's it, man.
I do need to give a shout out to my brother Avi, who allowed me to get off a important family call to have this podcast. So shouts out to
Our
Vancouver.
podcast is important.
It
had to
is.
let you off.
It is. But family.
Yeah. Well, I think we're
Done for the deed.
done. So, till next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode of The Technology Show. Remember, for more episodes, hop onto eaglewavesradio.com.au, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Catch you next time.